Ever feel like you're drowning in fitness advice? Trying to get the most out of your workouts, build some serious muscle, but there are just so many exercises, so many different approaches. Where do you even begin?
Yeah, it's easy to get overwhelmed. You see all these articles, videos, everyone's got the secret to muscle growth, and it's hard to know what actually works.
That's exactly why we're doing this deep dive today. We're going straight to the source, a report from a guy who knows a thing or two about building muscle, Tom Platz.
Oh yeah, the quad father himself. This isn't some fluffy influencer stuff. This is hardcore, grounded in real physiology and kinesiology from Optimum Training Systems, or OTS.
Exactly. OTS is known for their research-backed approach, so we're talking about stuff that actually has some science behind it.
Yeah.
And in this report, Tom lays out count 'em, seven stupid mistakes that can totally sabotage your gains.
We're going to break down each one of those mistakes, uncover the principles behind them, and most importantly, give you actionable strategies you can use right away in your own training.
So if you're ready to ditch the confusion and start building muscle efficiently, you're in the right place. Let's jump into secret number one, choosing the wrong exercises.
This is where the concept of neuromuscular activation, or NMA, comes in. Now, you might be thinking, great, another acronym, but trust me, this is a game changer.
So break it down for us. What is NMA and why should we care?
Basically, NMA is how strongly your nervous system can signal your muscles to grow. The more neurological input, the more potential for growth.
Okay, so it's not just about lifting heavy. It's about how well your brain and muscles are talking to each other during the exercise.
Exactly, and that's where compound exercises really shine. Think bench press, squats, deadlifts, those big movements that work multiple muscle groups across multiple joints.
Right, as opposed to isolation exercises
hmm
like bicep curls or leg extensions, which focus on a single muscle group.
Right. Now, both types of exercises have their place, but the report emphasizes that compound exercises should be the cornerstone of your training, especially if your goal is overall muscle growth. They simply have a higher NMA factor.
It makes sense. If you could only do one leg exercise, you'd pick squats over leg extensions every time, right?
Yeah.
You're hitting way more muscle with squats.
Absolutely. And the report even uses a scale to illustrate this. Imagine a dial from level 1 to level 7, with level 1 being the lowest NMA and level 7 the highest. A bicep curl might be a 4, while a complex movement like a power clean could be a 7. OTS recommends focusing your training in that 4 to 7 range for the best gains.
That's a really helpful way to visualize it. And speaking of guidelines, the report suggests keeping isolation exercises to no more than 30% of your total workout.
Right. The bulk of your training should be those big, multi-joint movements that really challenge your nervous system and stimulate growth.
All right, let's move on to secret number two, the 3-week ramping cycle. This sounds intriguing. What's the idea behind this approach?
So the key here is understanding that your body doesn't adapt to stress instantly. There's a lag time. The ramping strategy uses this lag to your advantage.
Okay, I'm listening. Tell me more about how it works.
It involves alternating between two phases, hyperacceleration and hyperadaptation. During the hyperacceleration phase, you crank up the volume and intensity. We're talking higher reps, more sets, shorter rest periods. You're basically pushing your body to its limits.
Sounds intense. So you're deliberately overloading your system, forcing it to adapt. What happens in the hyperadaptation phase?
That's where you back off. You reduce the volume, increase the rest periods, and basically let your body recover and adapt to the stress you just put it through.
So it's like a strategic push and pull, taking advantage of that natural lag time to maximize growth.
Exactly. The report suggests alternating 3-week blocks of hyperacceleration and hyperadaptation as a simple way to start. And they emphasize keeping your workouts under 45 minutes.
45 minutes. That seems pretty short compared to what some people are used to.
It might, but OTS research shows that 45 minutes is the sweet spot for maximizing hormonal response and minimizing fatigue. Beyond that, you start seeing diminishing returns. We'll touch on this again when we talk about training frequency.
Okay, on to secret number 3, the myth of full range of motion. This one definitely caught my attention because you always hear about the importance of using a full range of motion.
Right, it's almost dogma in the fitness world. But the report makes a compelling case for why always sticking to a full range of motion might not be the best approach, especially for bodybuilders.
So, what's the alternative?
It's about understanding the concept of target range of motion. The report breaks down the different ways we think about range of motion. There's the full anatomical range, which is the complete movement of a joint. Then there's the full muscle range, which is the extent of a muscle's stretch to contraction. And finally, there's the full exercise range, which is the typical movement for a specific exercise.
Okay, so it's more nuanced than just full range of motion as a blanket statement.
Precisely. And for bodybuilders, focusing on the target range of motion, the range that emphasizes the specific muscle you're trying to develop, can be more effective.
They use the bench press as an example, right?
Yeah, they point out that the first 3/4 of the bench press movement primarily target the chest, while the last quarter is mostly triceps. So if your goal is to build a bigger chest, why waste energy on that last part of the movement, which is often the strongest part anyway?
So they're suggesting that in some cases, doing partial reps, like a 3/4 bench press, can be more effective for maximizing muscle growth.
Exactly. But it's important to note that this doesn't apply to every exercise. You need to consider the biomechanics of the movement and whether you're compromising the overall stimulus by shortening the range of motion. It's about being strategic, not dogmatic.
All right, let's dive into secrets 4 and 5, which focus on maximizing each set and the speed of your reps. First up, milking every set. What does that mean exactly?
This is about taking your sets beyond just regular reps to failure. Tom Platz called it the life of a rep. The report outlines a 3-step process.
Lay it on me.
First, you do full reps to failure, just like you normally would. Then you immediately go into partial reps at 1 or more points within your target range of motion.
So you're basically squeezing out every last bit of effort from those muscle fibers.
Exactly. And then, once you can't do any more partials, you finish the set with a static hold at some point in the target range for a good 20 seconds.
Wow, that sounds brutal.
Uh-huh.
No wonder they call it muscle abuse. But it's a controlled abuse, right? Pushing those limits to force adaptation.
Exactly. Now let's contrast that with secret number 5, which challenges the go slow myth. You know, that idea that slow, controlled reps are always better for muscle growth.
Oh yeah, I've heard that a million times. 2 seconds up, 4 seconds down.
Well, the report argues that your muscles are actually designed for speed and power. Think about basic human movements. They're often quick and explosive. The faster you can move a weight while maintaining good form, the more stress you're applying to the muscle fibers.
So that burn you feel during slow reps might not be the best indicator of muscle growth.
Right. It's mostly lactic acid buildup. Plus, slow reps usually mean using lighter weights, which reduces the overall tension on the muscle.
And doesn't it also limit the involvement of those fast-twitch muscle fibers, which have a high growth potential?
Exactly. The report advocates for performing your reps as fast as you can control, maintaining good form throughout. They even mention using a bit of controlled momentum at the end of a set for those final cheating reps to squeeze out a little extra overload.
Interesting. So we're challenging some deeply ingrained fitness beliefs here.
We are. Now let's move on to secret number 6, which tackles the idea of training frequency. You know, that classic rule of training each body part no more than 2 or 3 times a week.
Yeah, that seems to be the standard advice.
It is, but the report points to the incredible success of Bulgarian weightlifters who train their muscles much more frequently, sometimes even multiple times a day, based on scientific principles.
Really? Multiple times a day.
Yeah.
That's a far cry from the once a week per body part approach you often see.
It is. OTS research, drawing from the Bulgarian methods, indicates that muscles can recover much faster than we traditionally thought. They found that you can often effectively train a muscle group again just 5 hours after the previous workout.
5 hours? That's crazy.
Yeah.
So much for the 72-hour rule.
Right. And they also emphasize keeping your workouts within that 45-minute window we talked about earlier. Within that time frame, you can hit each muscle group multiple times per week.
So it's about being efficient and maximizing the frequency of stimulation for each muscle group.
Exactly. And finally, we come to secret number 7, fooling fatigue with jump sets. This is a really clever technique.
Tell me more about it. I'm always looking for ways to get more out of my workouts.
Jump sets are a way to increase both volume and intensity at the same time. Normally, as you do multiple sets of the same exercise, your strength starts to decline. You either have to lower the weight or reduce the reps.
Right, that's just natural fatigue setting in.
Jump sets get around this by alternating between exercises for different muscle groups. For example, you might do a set of chest dips, then immediately do a set of chin-ups for your back, then back to dips, and so on.
Ah, I see. So while one muscle group is working, the other is resting.
Exactly. This lets you maintain a higher overall volume and intensity because each muscle group gets a little break between sets.
That's brilliant. I'm definitely going to try incorporating jump sets into my training.
I think you'll find it's a really effective way to get more work done in less time. And to top it all off, the report even includes a bonus. a 3-week bench press program from OTS that they claim can add up to 55 pounds to your bench.
55 pounds, that's a huge jump. All right, so let's recap what we've learned today. We talked about the importance of prioritizing compound exercises, understanding neuromuscular activation, and using the 3-week ramping cycle. We challenged the dogma of full range of motion and the go slow myth. We explored the idea of training more frequently and using jump sets to maximize volume and intensity.
And if you take away just one thing from this deep dive, let it be this. Building muscle isn't about blindly following the latest trends or fads. It's about understanding the principles behind effective training and applying them intelligently.
Absolutely. So as you head into your next workout, I want you to think about this. What's one specific adjustment you can make, based on what we've discussed, that you genuinely believe will have the biggest impact on your progress? Maybe it's incorporating more compound exercises, experimenting with target range of motion, or trying out those jump sets.
Whatever it is, make that one change and see how it feels. Don't be afraid to experiment and find what works best for you. That's how you unlock your true muscle building potential.
And that's a wrap on our deep dive into Tom Platz's 7 Stupid Mistakes. We'll see you next time.